WKYS HD2 Washington.
Family law,
WNMJ
bankruptcy,
Bethesda,
Carmiece radio show going down. So used to hearing what's going on in the room.
Opinions of the following show
Thanks for
do
tuning
not
in.
necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management. Good morning and welcome to the Carmiece Grade Show. Get ready to get great information on knowing your rights on estate planning, bankruptcy, divorce, alimony, and much more. Now for today's show, here's attorney Carmiece Graves.
Good morning. Welcome to the Carmiece Graves radio show. I'm attorney CPA Carmiece T. Graves in the building, and I got the mic. Well, I'm back. Last week I was actually in court. I do practice law. I am just not a radio personality. First and foremost, I am an attorney at law, practicing estate planning, bankruptcy, and family law in Maryland and D.C. And this show, the purpose of it is to pass on information so we can educate and learn from each other's victories and failures sometimes. And today I want to go over some mistakes that I would like for you to avoid in estate planning. I know I haven't talked about estate planning in a little while, but as I'm dealing with it with my clients, it's obviously at the top of my mind and my heart, and I want to share it with you. So we're going to go over that today. Also, whatever else comes to my mind in terms of things that I think that you should know that would be helpful. But it's Black History Month. It's Black History Month. And of course, we're always, to me in my heart, I'm celebrating Black history every day, every moment, as I really appreciate and honor the ancestors. But for them, I would not be where I am today. And that goes, from my mom all the way back to, my ancestors, and all the way back to my more distant ancestors back in the motherland in Africa. The DNA runs through me live and direct. And something interesting that I was listening to something from Eckhart Tolle, I believe, over the weekend, and he was sharing that emotional information is transcended through DNA. There's a lot of information we inherit through DNA, and also the emotional consonance of our ancestors is within that DNA. And I think that's important to know. It's really important. I know sometimes we really struggle sometimes to look back at our history because the way sometimes it's portrayed, you feel like it's full of defeat and failure. And in this month, we definitely want to highlight all the triumphs and victories. And the mere fact that we are here today together, the mere fact that I'm on the radio and I'm an attorney and I'm talking about estate planning, that I have gone off to, receive a degree, be educated, to have a business, is the victory. It's the perseverance. It's the actual proof of the greatness of the melanin that runs through our veins and the DNA in which we've inherited. So I always want us to really be appreciative. Sometimes it's hard to look back, but looking back, it's really important, because when you look back, you have a clearer view of what happened. You have an opportunity to look at what folks did to triumph and overcome. So my experience, what I want to talk about today a little bit on the Black history side, was this week, a couple organizations, such as the Washington Bar Association, will be celebrating and conferring the Ollie Cooper Award, I believe, on Karen Evans of the Cochran Law Firm, and I want to congratulate her on that. Hopefully I got that right. Now, also, there's a Charlotte E. Ray Awards that will be coming up later, but I want to definitely spend a moment to honor Ollie Mae Cooper. She was one of the first Black women to have her own law firm. She graduated from Howard University School of Law in 1921, admitted to the bar in 1926. And again, like I say, she was also the founder of my legal sorority and Epsilon Sigma Iota. So I want to make sure that I give homage to that and the importance of that experience. So when I was at Howard, one of the first things I did, because it was really awesome, at Howard University School of Law, all of the classes are displayed along the walls. So from the first class that ever graduated from Howard all the way up to the most recent graduates, I'm not sure if 2018, it's probably up by now. If not, it's coming, it's going to be mounted shortly. But the journey down the hallway, just to kind of take a look to see how far back we go. One of the first classes that was admitted to that graduated from Howard Law was in the 1800s, and that blew my mind, because I was looking at this black and white photo thinking that at this time all of my ancestors, American side, the Americans were on a plantation, being a slave and picking cotton or whatever other crops they needed picked. And to see my ancestors on the wall graduated from law school in the 1890s, they really stood as a testament that don't be fooled. Don't believe everybody else's story about your own ancestry. Go figure it out for yourself. And I know this is the 400th anniversary of the 1619 slaves that was brought to the Commonwealth of Virginia, 400 years. And what I want to say about that is always look at the triumph. Always look for how we overcame. Understand that when you're having a bad day, we could never have a bad day compared to what our ancestors have endured. And they endured it for us. They endured it for us to have a better future. They could have quit. They just didn't. I wouldn't be mad if they did. The circumstances were harsh, but something in them, that drive for a human being to procreate and to survive was ever pervasive, and it had them endure serious trials. And the fact that we're still here, my debt of gratitude to my ancestors is not to squander this lifetime that's been gifted to me. I'm not going to squander it. I am going to ball till I fall, y'all, okay? I'm going to go hard in the paint. Every opportunity that's available to me, and all are available to me, I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to leverage that. So last time we were here, we were talking about a little bit about this income and wealth disparity. And I want to go back to that just a little bit, because as in my world of being a CPA, you really learn about finances. You learn about what makes up the financial statement. And to me, when you say assets versus income, they're talking about a wealth gap. A wealth gap. A wealth gap is not necessarily an income gap. Income is a source of income that you can turn into wealth, or you can squander it all away with expenses. Okay, so to me, when I hear the idea of wealth gap, to me that says that if we are getting similar monies, okay, but there's still a significant wealth gap, that means that either you started the game with more assets, which probably is a part of this, meaning that you came into the world inheriting property, receiving property from your family. So you're not starting at you're not at ground zero when it comes to your wealth. You inherited some assets, so that's a big one. So some people may just be relying on the money that they're making, right? You got a job, you're making money, and others might be making the same kind of money, but they came into the world with some assets. So when we're talking about estate planning, I want us to think about that it makes a difference. Passing on wealth is important, and it's all going to be a mindset change, okay? It's going to be something that everything that we want to accomplish in life that we have not accomplished yet is really going to start with a shift in one's mindset. This idea that, I can't take it with me, and I don't care what happens when I'm gone. It's amazing to hear people say that, because this is your family you're talking about. Now if you're, don't have any heirs, okay, usually everybody has some sort of heirs, but you're talking about your family, your wife, your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, even your alma maters. Okay? Think about the fact that we really need to change the mindset in our community and pass on wealth. If you were good enough to acquire it, the idea is right. You can't take it with you. So think about who you're going to leave it to and let them have the benefit and leverage and start a little bit before the start line. Let's start with some cushion, okay? Also with that, you're going to want to train your young people on how to use money, how to acquire wealth, how to take care of it. Some things that we say are harmful that we need to get rid of, which is, one of the ones I had to get rid of, and I'm still working on decoding, which is money comes and money goes. So might as well just spend it and do what you want with it. Now, I've changed it in my life that money comes, but not all of it goes. I want some of it to stay. I want most of it to stay. You know what I mean? I want to stack my money. I want to build my wealth. I want to have assets, things that really have value, that appreciate. Yes, I'm going to get my goods, my, consumer goods, my disposable goods, whatever, to have fun with. But I understand their place. I understand their place in the grand scheme of things. So our mindset on what we do with our money, how how we invest it, whether we invest it, but the idea that if we're going to get all of our money and we're going to spend all of our money, that's going to be a primary factor in this wealth gap. The fact that we don't pass along assets and don't plan for their succession is going to be another factor in why there's going to be a wealth gap. So it's not going to always be this institutional oppression. Okay, more 9 times out of 10, it never is. It's really going to be mindset, because our ancestors have paid the cost for us to really have as much freedom as we can accept and appreciate in this lifetime. Right? So, change in mindset. So let's get down to some concrete facts there about key mistakes. So last week, I had a fun week. Monday through Wednesday, I got to first bang up in court on a family law matter. That was fun. Tuesday, I was dealing with I was in federal court on the bankruptcy matter, and we're going to go through pluses and minuses there. And then Wednesday, I don't know what I was doing on Wednesday. I can't remember. I think I had to be back in court for some other reason. Yeah, family law, something. Yeah, I was there back on a family law matter. So Monday and Wednesdays was family law, Tuesday was bankruptcy, and Thursday was estate planning. Okay, Thursday, but I wasn't in court. I was down at PNC having a meeting with the vice president, one of the vice presidents of wealth management. And something that I really learned and took away is that I'm dealing with an issue for one of my clients and getting an account that has a significant amount of money in there. Okay, this is where I'm trying to be. We talking about 7 figures in the bank, baby, just cash, like dang, trying to work out some kinks regarding this money that was not properly titled. And here's a key mistake that I want people to avoid. When you do your estate planning, number one mistake is when you don't do planning at all. Big mistake. But say you go ahead and you do your planning, and say you go ahead and you do your trust planning, and you go ahead and a part of it, you have to do the funding. You should leave that part to the attorney. Don't say you're going to do it, because usually you don't do it. And let me explain again what funding is. Funding is when you set up the trust. After you set it up, the trust is ready to receive assets in its name. It's ready to receive, meaning that it hasn't gotten anything. It doesn't own anything until you transfer title into its name. So you personally may have a house. The trust has been created, but the trust don't own the house until you title the house in the name of the trust, until you title the bank account in the name of the trust, until you title the stocks, the bonds, in the name of the trust. Then you have successfully transferred the title ownership from yourself personally into the trust. And that is the goal for tax planning purposes, to avoid probate, all these wonderful benefits. Now, here's the key thing that you need to know. If you have a significant amount of money, for any bank that you open up an account with, you need to know what are the limits for wealth management services. Is it $1 million? Is it $2 million? Is it $3 million? You need to know that, because as soon as your money hits that amount, or if you're starting off with those amounts in those accounts, you don't want your money in a regular bank, retail bank account. You don't want to go into the branch and sit there like you open up a little savings bonds account. You don't want to go into the regular retail branch to open up your account. You need to be contacted and connected with wealth management services, where you get your personal bankers, where you get people that are working on cash flow and retirement plans for you, people that come out and visit you. When you got $1 million, you don't need to go to the bank. They coming to you. Okay? So it matters on how that account is managed. It helps if there's any issues down the line, because dealing with the retail bank and large sums of money, now obviously they want the money to meet their capital calls. They want the money in the bank. But when you have that significant amount of money, you need to be dealing with personal bankers. So we're going to continue with tips on estate planning, other things that come to mind that can be of use to you in my areas of practice. Thanks so much. You're listening to the Carmiece Grace Radio Show. Please stay tuned. We're going to take a quick check-in with traffic and weather, and on the other side of the break, we'll continue this discussion. All right, Facebook family. So, moral of the story is, when you have that much money, you don't need to be retail banking. You are there personal banking. And surprisingly enough, there are many people who have significant sums of money, and I believe that you will have significant sums of money, and I'm preparing you now on how to deal with it. And the retail bankers sometimes won't tell you because they have a personal interest in keeping that money in their coffers, or when you started out, the account didn't have that much money in it, and then it grew over time, and you didn't know. You didn't know personally, I've hit and there's not going to be a tickler for them to be like, oh, their account's $1 million, let me get them in contact with wealth management. Also, the insurances are different. That means if the bank goes down and you've triggered your FDIC insurance and it's only $100,000, you got $1 million in the bank, you're coming up short. But on the wealth management side, no, they have to guarantee all of your money. You have to guarantee all of your money, if nothing else. That's really important. Welcome back to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show. Attorney CPA Carmiece T. Graves in the building, passing on knowledge and tips that can help you avoid pitfalls and mistakes in estate planning, bankruptcy, and family law. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. And so where we left off when we checked in with traffic and weather was the reason why you want to make sure that if you have set up an account, now say you start off and it's not $1 million. I have every confidence that you will attain as much money as you want. You'll do planning. We will build wealth together. We'll attract money. Get rid of those resistant thoughts that says, no, not me. When I say you're a millionaire and you say the reasons why not, that's your work. Getting money is always going to be a personal development. It's a spiritual process. You're going to have to do your personal development in terms of what you think you're worth, of what you think you deserve, right? It's really an act of deserving how much money you get. It's never about how much education you have or how much you work. You know what I mean? I mean, if hardworking people, if that was the formula, the slaves should be rich, honey. Okay, because ain't nobody work harder than them. Okay, so that is a testament. It's not about rolling up your sleeves and getting busy, because we know the hardest working people on this planet usually still do not amass wealth. And I'll tell you the key. It's going to be getting rid of those negative mindsets that say you can't have it, you shouldn't have it, it's too hard to have it, they won't let me have it, there's constructs in place that stop me from having it. That is your personal development work, because one of the things that I've been doing is I really have been trying to educate myself and learn something new so that I can develop new attitudes and behaviors so that I can accomplish the things that I want to accomplish. And just because I have a law degree or whatever, that's education. That's great. But that does not, you still have lawyers, you have everybody in every profession, some that make a lot of money and some that don't, because you still have to do that work. And then you have people, don't you know, folks, in network marketing, they don't have degree to the first, so them bad boys be pulling down $50,000 a month. You'd be like, what? Wait, what? You know, but they're hungry. And they feel like the sky's the limit, you know, and they're going to go for it. And they feel that there's nothing stopping them. So the mindset is really first and foremost. But more tips about this estate planning. So one of the things you want to know is that your money is guaranteed on the wealth management side, and it's not limited by the FDIC insurance. So definitely when choosing a bank, I would be looking for a bank that has the lowest, threshold for wealth management. I know PNC, I've been working with them. It was great. There was like $1 million. I think Citibank may be higher, but I don't know. You call around, you check. And you have to know that once you get there, and if you start there, you start on wealth management. And once you get there, they're not going to probably call you and say, come, take your money out of retail banking and put it on wealth management side. Why would they do that? They like that money sitting in the bank. The bank have things to do. They need money to make money. And your money sitting there helps them make their capital calls, help them go into the market and flip that money and make money and give you pennies on the dollar. So you want to know that. Other key mistake is, this is a critical one, y'all. Now, planning for incapacitation is the most important thing, especially for people who say, well, I don't have a lot. I ain't got $1 million. I'm not there yet. I don't need a trust. I don't have kids, blah, 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 blah. Now, if that sounds like you, one of the things I will tell you to do everybody needs to have a plan for incapacitation. If you get into an accident, if you just any myriad of things that can happen unexpectedly in life that leads you to not be able to take care of your daily affairs, collect your money, do your taxes, do your banking, whatever, and you need someone to act in your stead to take care of those critical functions, the ones that you absolutely 100% take care of yourself, that stuff, the ones you be like, no, I do my own banking, no, all that stuff that you do, and now you can't do it, or you don't have the cognition to make a decision about those sorts of things, you need to do planning for incapacitation, because this is what happens if you don't. So say something happens, say get into a car accident, in a coma, you got your wife there, okay? And you feel that, okay, your wife can do a lot of things, but there's going to be limitations on what your spouse can do. Say you don't have it. Even getting medical records, going in, because you're still with us. So, going and getting your check. Imagine, they can't just go get into your bank accounts. What if you have separate accounts? What you need to do is make sure that you've designated who that person's going to be and empower them easily and efficiently to take care of you. If that information is not on record and if that estate planning has not been done, then they have to go to the court. The court's not fast. They got to go petition for guardianship. That's not a quick process. It's expensive. It's almost as costly as a trust. Almost as costly as a trust. Really close. And now you've subjected yourself to the jurisdiction of the court. Anytime you go to court, you have to submit your jurisdiction to the court, meaning that personal jurisdiction, when you go in there, you say, okay, court, I want you to manage this process. Couldn't work it out without you. Didn't use the different tools, whether it's, family law, we worked out a consent agreement, estate planning, whether that's a trust, you know what I mean, bankruptcy, avoiding it, whatever, I couldn't do it, and I need your help, and the court's there to help you. But one of the things that you submit to is its oversight and its decision making. You give that over, right? With regards to your kids, folks be like this. Oh, I heard on Facebook, a colleague of mine was like this. The court could just come in and make a decision and take your kids. Well, when you went to court and couldn't work it out with your baby mama, and now y'all, could not come up with an agreement, and you went to court and said, court, please work this out. Yeah, you gave them the authority. They just don't have the authority on their own just to be snatching up folks' kids. But when you went in there and you wanted child support or a custody award, yeah, you gave it to them to make that decision. So to me, the message is today, if you don't want the court in your life, if you don't want them in your business, if you don't want them in your decision making, you're going to have to make some proactive moves. You're going to have to do some planning, okay? You're going to have to take some, you're going to have to really avoid some self-sabotaging behaviors and start working on that mindset change so that you can get enough, I don't know what the word is, but you need to be able to have a clearing that enables you to go do the thing that you need to go do that you don't want to go do, right? That's always the thing that you're supposed to do, but you don't go do. So I'm telling you today, one of those things is make sure you have a plan for incapacitation. Make sure you have a plan for incapacitation. Make sure you have that set up. Make sure that you've chosen who is to dig in your bank account and manage your affairs. Think about it carefully. Think about who that responsible person is, especially if you don't have kids or you're not married and you're late 30s, early 40s, doing what you got to do. Maybe you got disability insurance. If something goes wrong, maybe you took the step to get insurance. Who's going to collect the checks? How are they going to spend the money? Who's going to make that decision making for you? And do you want the court involved? If you don't, you're going to have to do some planning. You just got to do it. It's a part of being a wealthy person, Now, I don't really like the fact that mega wealthy folks be having to get stuff like kidnapping insurance. I'm like, whoa. Let me work on that. That is a limiting belief that I have to think about, that I have to work through, that they got some kind of problems that, normal folks aren't used to. But let's start planning. Let's start thinking about making sure that if you have money in a bank and it's a substantial amount of money, that you are getting all of the services available from that bank, right? If you are not at the stage where you need those sorts of services, think about your incapacitation. Think about who's supposed to come in. Just because you don't have no kids, your mama not going to be able to come in and do everything. I know that mom be like this, I made that child. That's not going to work for the bank. The bank be like, I'm sorry, ma'am. Okay? No, you're not coming up in here. I know that's your baby, but no. You're going to need some legal documents, or you're going to need a court order. And that's what they, so imagine, you don't have kids, and, you ain't got a man, you're not married, and that could be a man or a woman. Your parents just can't come in there and save the day for you. You're going to need to take those steps and get some estate planning done. You can call me. We can work on that. It's a painless process. The only thing that you're going to have to do is think carefully about, ideally, at least, I would like 2 people, more so 3, in order of succession. This is my number 1, this is my number 2, this is my number 3. Once you have, that's the hard work, because usually folks could get the 1, 2, 3, you know what I mean? But think about it, who that might be, because you want to keep the court out of this, because then once the court is involved, they maintain oversight. They be like this, what you doing? Okay, so let me see if I think that's a good idea. You want to sell property? Well, come and ask me. Anything that you want to do significant on behalf of this person, now you're going to have to submit, reports to the court on how you spent the money, what you spent it on. They're going to have, they may say, no, you spent too much on their rent or their whatever. If you don't want that involvement, and I don't know who would, so I'm here to tell you, you might not know this, and that's the purpose of this show, is to give you education so that you can plan. People come to me too about now their loved ones, they're dealing with, elder care, and they don't want the house, the asset. They don't want the house or the asset to go over to the state because they're getting, the benefits. That sort of planning, I need 60 months. 60 months from the time, and I need 60 months. That means as soon as someone hit about 60, we need to be planning, because you don't know when the person's going to fall ill, so you're going to I need 60 months, meaning they have a look back period, meaning they're looking back for any transfers, anything that you've done in the past 60 months. They're like this, no. So you can't come in here and be like this, can I transfer the house to my sister and blah, blah, nah. If we're within that 60-month look back period, we're going to have to do some serious planning. So that's the tips for today. It was estate planning based. Hopefully you have learned something, gained something. If you guys have questions, family law, bankruptcy, you know how to reach me, 240-573-7153. Carmiece, you can Google me. Thanks so much for listening to my show. You guys are calling. You guys are listening. I really appreciate you, and I hope that you will celebrate Black History Month, Black History in every in every moment of your life, and really appreciate the greatness from which we come. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll be back next week with more tips on estate planning, bankruptcy, and family law. See ya.
You've been listening to the Carmiece Graves Show with attorney Carmiece Graves. To reach Attorney Graves, please call 240-573-7153. That's 240-573-7153. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday at 10 a.m. right here on WOL 1450 AM, where information is power.
Thanks.
Good morning. I'm